Now, in the West, whenever there is a PM with a whiff of scandal about him, his party will ask him to resign. Why is it so difficult in Malaysia to unseat him?
Well,
Malaysia boleh.
You saw Malaysia boleh. Maria, as you saw the response of the ruling party, or rather the dominant partner in the ruling coalition, to the Bersih rally was to twist it, and manipulate it, and trying to dupe especially the rural Malays, and the Malays basically to say that this was DAP-led, this was Chinese-dominated, Chinese-led, and Malays were duped. They completely, and so we must have this red shirt rally to redeem Malay dignity. This is Maruah Melayu. So people are asking, the thinking Malaysians were asking, when was Malay dignity trampled on? Even some of my simple relatives from the kampong said, I don't recall my dignity being trampled on. And what basically was the Bersih demands? That they felt that this was an insult to the Malays. First was clean elections. Is that against the Malays? Clean government. Is that against the Malays? Do the Malays want the 1MDB scandal when 42 billion of taxpayers' money were misappropriated? And then we're calling for saving the economy. Is that against the Malays? Fourth was the right to dissent. What's the fifth, Maria? I always forget the fifth.
Democracy.
Parliamentary democracy. Are this against the Malays? See how they have twisted it. And Marina very pertinently pointed out, are Malays for dirty government, dirty elections? We don't want the right to dissent. We don't want to save the economy. I mean, look at the way they've twisted it. And then so they had the red shirt rally. It was not as peaceful or uneventful as the Bersih rally, but they are going around, and you had government cabinet ministers and senior government, senior UMNO leaders taking part in the red shirt rally and making inflammatory speeches against the Chinese especially. And then they had this, even the posters had this Chris wielding a Malay warrior calling for shedding of blood. They are prepared to see another, race riots on May 13 erupt simply because they want to cling to power. They are using race and religious, using the race and religious cards to cling to power. I mean, it's something like Emperor Nero of the Roman Empire playing on his fiddle while Rome burnt. And I'm not exaggerating. Our leaders have come to that. And then there is a video going around where Najib, they had a ceremony with the National Silat Association, who was the organizer, one of the organizers of the Red Shirt Rally. And he was talking about, Malay dignity has been trampled on. We are not going to take this lying down. This is the fourth in a long series of Bersih rallies where they've trampled on Malay dignity. He completely overlooked the fact that the first three Bersih rallies were Malay dominated. Isn't it, Maria? Because you know why? Because PAS then was a member, and they bussed in the Malays from the rural areas, especially their members. But this time they were not part of the organizing committee, and you don't expect poor Malays from the rural areas to pay for their bus fare, to pay for the stay in KL and whatnot. They can't afford it. Unlike the Red Shirts rally, where these are allegations which went around on WhatsApp, and people actually came up, shared these letters to the Felda settlements, saying that, you are invited to come to KL to celebrate National Day. For our National Day celebrations, we'll provide transport. So they were all bussed into KL. When they arrived in KL, they were given red shirts and told to march, much to their bewilderment. So, obviously, I'm not going to use the word trickery or dupe, but it's very close to it, isn't it? Well, this was used so big, and then, of course, there were also allegations that they were paid to participate. I use the word, I dismiss this rally as a rent-a-mob rally. And well, some smart political analysts scolded me, told me off, saying as a former diplomat, I should be wary about causing further polarization between the Malays. But these are not, what is of concern is that the Malays are being deliberately, especially those who are not well educated enough to think for themselves, they are inflaming Malay passions. And and Malays who are insecure about, even though, you know, the Malays dominate the government, the civil service, just about everything, plus we have Malay privileges enshrined in the constitution, and what we've got the new economic policy. In spite of that, the majority of poor people are Malays, and there are very many insecure Malays who might fall for this attempt to turn them against the Chinese. That is a worrying part, because they will stop at nothing. And we had a former Malay minister during the Red Shirts rally inflaming passion, saying, I am by nature racist because it's allowed in the Quran. Can you imagine? A constitution, the Quran. Of course, he is not familiar with Article 8 on equality, and one of the fundamental liberties provisions in our federal constitution. And even the Quran, there are clear surahs, chapters in the Quran, which states that tribalism or racism is, well, Farouk Peru will I'm sure support me on this, which says that you are not a Muslim if you uphold tribalism. And even the Prophet's last sermon, he made it clear that the Arabs are not superior to non-Arabs, and non-Arabs are not superior to Arabs. So, and one of our great ulamas even said, the fall of civilization will start when there is tribalism. And true enough, this is what is happening. And they are twisting the religion, they are twisting the federal constitution for their own ends. But happily, many Malay Muslims, Malay Muslim groups came up and told them off. And even 1 week before the Red Shirt rally, which unfortunately happened on our Malaysia Day, which should be a day for national unity. And, you know, this was such a travesty to have it, such a racist event on Malaysia Day. But anyway, many 16 Malay Muslim professional groups, including G25, came up with a statement, published a statement to condemn the Red Shirt rally, saying it was racist, and to say that it's not Islam, and that the Red Shirts do not represent the voice of the Malay Muslims. So many Muslim groups came up and condemned the Red Shirts. And also, what was very gratifying, before the Bersih rally, the Ex-Servicemen's Association, the president of the Ex-Servicemen's Association, endorsed the Bersih rally to say that to participate in the Bersih rally, and this is a Malay guy, to participate in the Bersih rally is an act of patriotism. So what is happening is that more and more Malay Muslims are speaking up. They are not buying the government propaganda and all these attempts to create divisions among the races. But as I say, what is unfortunate is that we need to also counter all this propaganda by also going down to the grassroots and making them aware that these are attempts by certain quarters to create racial strife and racial divisions simply so that they can remain in power.